at it again. What's up, everyone? Josh here. So here's I don't know. I see a lot of things these days, and or I guess I extract a lot of lessons out of stuff these days because I'm opening myself up to it, and I'm more aware of looking for the lessons and trying to comprehend them. So something as simple as last Friday, I invited my kids out to dinner and met up with my two oldest daughters and my oldest daughter's boyfriend. And they've been together so long. I mean, he's just whatever. He's my son. So if I refer to him that way, it is what it is. Not my biological son, but not my son-in-law either. So we go and we sit down to eat dinner at a restaurant that we all enjoy. Just the four of us. And, we're just talking all evening, and everybody's, they're younger, 25, 26, so they're mostly talking to themselves, and I'm listening, and I'm just enjoying. I'm along for a ride, and that's fine with me. I get it. It's kind of a dad's role, Moms will be a little more social and interject themselves in things. Dads usually don't. I'm that type of dad. And I'm just sitting there sucking everything up, man. And we occasionally we are talking. I don't make it sound like I just sat there the whole time, and everybody ignored me. But they're just talking, and we're getting to the end of the meal, and they're just talking about how work's going for them, and how they're advancing in their careers, and the people they are, and the things that they're doing as a result of the people they are. And I'm just sitting there in awe, through all their trials and tribulations growing up, having me for a father. For one, I was always a provider and a protector, but I wasn't ever really a nurturer or I don't know. Emotionally, I wasn't really there. I kind of didn't understand what that role needed to be until after those two were grown. I learned that later with my youngest, but I'm still learning it. But anyhow, my oldest two all three of my girls give me a lot of grace, and I'm grateful for that. But we're getting to the end of the evening, and I'm just looking back on the evening and the conversation in the past months and years, and the young women and young men that these kids have become, and how great they are, and how proud of them I am. And for me, look, I take zero credit, period. They're all great despite me, and I'm grateful for that. But I use this measuring stick at times with my kids, and I compare them to how I grew up. And I was thinking about, at their age, what I was doing at a Friday night, or on a Friday night. And it wasn't anything that we were doing that evening. And it's a memory came to me that there was a time when I was a drug dealer, and I I've sold quite a few different drugs, but at this point in time, I was selling quite a bit of cocaine, and I had, when you have multiple customers, inevitably you always have someone who's always short on their money when you give them stuff on front or consignment. And this memory came back to me that when about their age, 25 or 26, I tried to deal with mostly, in the beginning, I tried to deal with mostly middle-class white people, because strategy tells you majority of them aren't going to be a problem. If it is, it's because most of them are selling drugs so they can use drugs for free, or selling drugs to supplement income. So they're not out to screw you over. Odds are, if they screw you over, it's just because they did something stupid or made a mistake. And I had one particular guy, decent guy, family man, and he would get a quarter to a half ounce of cocaine from me every week on consignment, and he was always $20 or $30 short. And it really wasn't anything malicious. It was just because he was a fuck up. Just call it what it is. And so at that point in time, I was buying it at such a high level, and I was buying it so cheaply, that if he were, let's say he were to get half a ounce of cocaine from me, and by the time I processed it and did whatever I would do to it, I was selling it to him for $500 or $600, but I'd have $125 in it. So I never let it stress me out, man. Eventually, sometimes he would catch me back up, and sometimes I know he counted on the fact that I forgot. But in the real world, forgiving him that few $20 here and there was good business. Until the day came that he came to meet me, and one of my thuggish friends was around, who was somebody that would, or acquaintance, I wouldn't even say friend, but who was somebody who would, if they thought you were weaker than them, would kick your door in, tie your family up, and rob you for $200, $2,000. And so, a goofball comes, and to pay off his last front and to get more, and he's $20 short, except this time it's different. Because I tell him, well, you need to make sure that when you pay for this one, you need to have my money. Because like I said, I got me in the middle of a real thug and a goofball. And if I'm not smart, I lose. Because I have to maintain a reputation in the community. And he kind of tries to play me like, oh, it's okay. It's not that big a deal, blah, blah, blah. And it isn't. It really isn't. Except for, again, the company I'm in. So I had to make it a big deal. And I told him, next Friday, you better have all my money, or there's going to be consequences and repercussions. And next Friday rolls around, and I have to be a man of my word. And the problem here is, when I call him for my money, he's busy. And he can't give me my money right that minute. I was going to have to wait a couple hours. And I could have waited a couple hours, to be honest, because at that point when I called him, there's nobody around. I don't have to play chess. I don't have to impress I don't have to impress any kind of persona and on anybody so that they can run and tell everybody else that you don't fuck with Josh. But the things had already been set in motion, and you can't falter. Because it has to be him or me. It has to be him. And when you put yourself in these kinds of situations, you do genuinely, you have to get it how you live. And that's how I was living, unfortunately. So I've told this story before, not online. The hood knows it. The hood still knows it. You know, probably 4 or 5 years ago, somebody told me about, remember that time you blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, I did what I had to do. But, so anyways, he can't meet me. And for a couple hours because he's busy. But I can't let that slide. So I go to his house, and I grab a landscape paver out of his driveway. You know, he's got a little pathway going up to his driveway, and when he answers the door, I start beating him with it in front of his family. You know, I'm not talking like hitting him once or twice. And I'm not talking about anything humane or compassionate. The exact opposite. And after I probably beat him and kick him, you know, 20 or 30 blows, I make him drag his bloody body through the house to go get all of my money, every last penny. And I sit on his couch with his family watching as I count it and make him apologize to me in front of them for being short, and tell him if it ever happens again, I'm going to come back and do this again. And, you know, his wife and kids are crying, they're terrified. And I've done everything I can to absolutely humiliate this dude. Over $20. Because I have to impress upon other people around me my legend, or what my legacy is, or what the consequences and repercussions are. And what I never have told in this story was that the reason he wouldn't come meet me, or was trying to delay, was because they were having a birthday party. And he was getting ready for his son's 5 or 6 year old birthday party. And, you know, there's cake on the table and balloons and everything around. And I had zero compassion for the situation. And I took that $20 and went and met some friends at a bar, at a strip club, and told them about it, laughed about it like it was a joke, like it, you know, whatever, just another day in the life, right? Had a hard day at the office today, Bob, ha ha ha. I took that same $20 that dude owed me and bet one of my buddies that we were at a strip club, that he wouldn't slap a stripper on the ass so hard that it would leave a welt, which he did. And I gave him that $20 bill that guy had shorted me the week before. And of course the bouncers came over, and they knew my reputation for violence, and I reminded them how I explained to them that that's fine, we'll leave, but they're not going to touch anybody, and they better act real respectfully, because regardless of however this plays out, they won't make it past the response time of the police getting there without a lot of regrets. And this dude actually apologized to me. This is a big dude, big bouncer, pretty badass dude. And this dude actually apologized to me and asked us to politely to leave and not come back for a couple of days. And I don't say any of this like back then. It used to be such a badge of honor. Like, I used to think I was such a cool ass dude, and I used to think I was that made me somebody. And but sitting at dinner with my kids, I realized what a nobody I was and how special they are. How they're somebody. They're the ones living the dream. They get up every day, and nobody's perfect. They got their trials just like anybody else, but they get up every day with the warrior spirit, and they battle their way through life. And they're growing, and they're working up the ladder, and they're doing everything the right way. And it's weird. I had to also think, that same dope money is what afforded me to send them to private school. And I used to pull up to that school with my full-size Tahoe Denali with big loud stereo system, and at the time the biggest wheels were 24-inch wheels with the spinners, and just like all that stuff meant something, and it didn't mean anything. What means something about that whole deal back then was I did do a couple of good things. I sent my kids to private school so they could get a good education and be taught the things I was incapable of teaching them. And that's where my oldest daughter met my son. They've known each other since they were 3 or 4, I believe. And my dude always had a crush on her, and never had the courage to speak up until they were adults. And she broke up with her then boyfriend, and my dude G was on it. Like, as soon as he found out, he was like, "Hey, yo, I'm never letting this opportunity slip by again." And he's the greatest son anybody could ever ask for. I'm so proud of the man he is and who he is for my daughter, and who he is in the world. Even though I had nothing to do with raising him, I'm just so proud of him, and I love him like he's mine. So even out of tragedy, some good things can come, right? And as I'm sitting there thinking about all that stuff, and I'm grateful for these wonderful kids in my life who have blessed me and taught me these things, that evening, and I don't say a word to them. They don't really. I don't have any talks with them like I do you guys. They see these videos and they learn some things, but God had jokes for me, because I went to pay for the bill and I'd forgot my wallet. And I was so embarrassed and humiliated, and I was so frustrated with myself I'd never forget my wallet. I can't think of another time in my life I forgot my wallet. It happens so infrequently. And I told the kids, I said, well, whoever's paying, just tell me who's paying and how much the bill is, so I can Cash App you or Zelle you or whatever the money. And Gravam was like, "You know what, Dad? You always buy. Don't worry about it. I got you." And, that's took me a minute, man, to really just shut up and accept that gift. I mean, I did immediately, but like internally, it took me a minute, man, because that's my role, right? Parents, we're supposed to protect and provide. There's so much more value. It's crazy how valueless money can be in one situation, like the one with me and the drugs I spoke about earlier, or how priceless it can be when your kids show you grace, when you forget your wallet and tell you it's all right, I got you. The world's a funny place. So, yeah, don't take yourself so seriously. And when your people are trying to love you and look out for you, just be humble and grateful. Hug them, tell them you love them, how proud you are of them. And, be grateful that your kids are growing up to be better than you were. Maybe you weren't who I was as a kid. But I'm sure your kids, just like mine, are doing better than you did. And let them know that you're proud of who they are and that you love them. Anyhow, thanks for watching another one of these. Just listen. God's talking to you. Just listen.